on the next episode of AMC's The Walking Dead.
Watch for the signal.
What time does the clock start?
As soon as she's there. You good?
I'm good enough.
Good morning, and welcome to today's episode of Zombies and Coffee. Yes, last night's episode was slow, and I saw a lot of people complaining about it on Facebook last night. But we had this before. Everyone complained that the show was super slow, and then the next season it really ramped up. I personally don't mind the slow episodes. I liked last night's episode. So far, there's only been one episode this whole season that I didn't like. I want to start out by saying I was right about Dwight, 50% wrong about Eugene, and 100% wrong about Oceanside. So yes, it was Rick's group gearing up to go to Oceanside. Tara's reaction there was comical, to say the least. But yeah, she was brave, telling Michonne to not kill the grandmother. I can't remember the grandmother's name, the leader of Oceanside. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. We'll start at the beginning, where we see the zombies coming down the beach. They're all waterlogged. They have like barnacles or some sort of sea life growing on them. Yes, we see a ship in the background, so they most likely came from that, but they were submerged underwater, which kind of takes, in my mind, that whole desert island theory where they can sail off in the sunset, find a desert island, set up shop there, be completely safe, because it kind of lends itself, in my mind, to Land of the Dead, where the zombies actually walk under the water and come up on the other side of the river. Yes, in that movie, the zombies become slightly aware and have a little bit retention of their human selves, which is kind of why they think a little bit and they follow that one leader guy. But still, if these zombies could be underwater and still survive and march out, we know that they could potentially go under the ocean and walk up on the shore of your deserted island and bite you in your sleep. You think you're safe, you're not. So I think that kind of helps to rule out that whole, they're going to sail off into the sunset. Like, that's a fan theory about how the show is going to ultimately end, is they're going to get on a boat and end up on an island. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to stay. They're going to fight. The zombies aren't the threat anymore. The people are the threat. Also, Eric's going to die. Eric is Aaron's boyfriend. He finally comes out on a mission. They kind of have a little bit of a chat, if you say, in the beginning, where I don't think they necessarily humanize him. We all know what happens when they humanize a character, but they give you a little bit more insight into Eric, so that means he's going to end up getting it. I think he's going to get it not next week's season finale. I think in probably season 8, episode 1, I think Eric will get it. Once they start breaking down a minor character, they're gone. So Eric, I don't think he's going to last much longer. Now we'll move into the Oceanside and how I was completely wrong about that. I had thought that the explosions were potentially Oceanside's perimeter defense, like a early warning system, and I thought the Saviors were attacking them, and that was their early warning system going off. But no, I was completely wrong, and this is where we saw that it was 100% Daryl, because in the beginning, they're setting the charges. Daryl and Jesus are setting the charges. They're talking about Sasha and Rosita. Jesus says they're probably already back at the hilltop, so we 100% know for a fact at that point it was Dwight. And yeah, we see it at the end, but we already know in the beginning that it was not Daryl, it was Dwight. So Daryl and Jesus are setting the charges. Where'd they get the dynamite? That's the dynamite that they stole from the road, the highway, that the Savior set to stop the walkers. That's where that dynamite came from. So they had anticipated using that against the Saviors, but instead they used it as their distraction for Oceanside. Now, we don't know if they used it all. They did get a decent amount from the highway, so they may still have some more dynamite left. We may see a little bit more dynamite coming in the future. We did see the roads being blocked, which is what I think Rick Group was doing to block the Saviors from getting to Alexandria to do the distraction, but we know the war is going to start. We see Ezekiel with, why can't I think of the lion's name? Well, we see Ezekiel and his pet cat walking down the road, so we know the kingdom's in. We did not see the trash people. So we don't know if the junkies are going to show up yet. I would assume they would be. This was the last round of guns that Rick's group was going to get for them. But I digress. I don't know if there's going to be any more dynamite. It'd be cool if there was a couple explosions, but that could have been all they had. Now, with Tara going in there armed but with no ammunition, they kind of showed she was still trying to keep her promise. She even says to Sydney, "I'm sorry," and then when Sydney gets the gun and there's no ammo in it, that's when Sydney realizes that, yeah, maybe Tara's not here to really cause harm. They're there for help. She knows that the leader of Oceanside isn't going to listen to reason, which is why they did set up the distraction, and they go in there with force, with the weapons that they have, and they take everything. Tara promises to bring it back. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think some of the Oceanside girls are going to come and help. I think Rick's group will kind of be in a tight spot, and a few of these girls are going to show up out of nowhere and kind of save one of like the flanking groups from like the saviors. I think that's a high possibility. Rick's group leaves. Tara gets the last word in. They have the guns. They have what they came there for. They have the weapons, and hopefully they get some of the numbers that they need. I was kind of hoping when they were there they're going to find Heath. Maybe that the girls had him locked up somewhere, because we haven't seen Heath since Heath and Tara got separated, and that's when Tara ended up at Oceanside. I was really hoping that we'd see Heath show up randomly locked up in a room or in some sort of holding cell, but we didn't get that. Now, we definitely saw the beginning of Gregory's downfall. The scene from last week's previews showed him with the knife behind his back, and we all thought, and they made it look like this, that he was sneaking up to try to kill Maggie. Well, he was actually protecting her from the zombies while she was digging out that tree. So there was a second there, though, before that, where it almost seemed like Gregory was going to listen to reason and he was going to work with Maggie. Then he had this breakdown where he was thinking about killing her when she wasn't paying attention, and he's sweating it out, shaking his head. He's lucky he didn't, because Maggie would have killed him right then and there. We know this because we immediately go into the walker scene, and he can't even kill a walker. All he had to do was walk up and quickly stab it in the head, and it was done. He couldn't do that. So there's no way he would have been able to kill Maggie. Even a pregnant Maggie would have made short work of Gregory. She only had that little trowel, so she could have easily killed him with that. He's lucky he didn't try something. He would have ended up dead right away. But after the other hilltop residents come walking down the road, and Maggie said, "Oh, it's his first time, he's learning," and they say, "Oh, that's not what he told us," he gives Maggie that look, because he told everyone, including her, before this happened, that he wouldn't have made it this far if he hadn't. And he didn't. He's kind of like Eugene, I think. He made up stories and got other people to do the dirty work for him because he was scared, and he knew he couldn't do it. So he just lied and got other people to do the work for him. So now he sees the residents are already going towards Maggie, and now they know that he's a liar. So he's pulling out the map and the piece of paper to get the coordinates to where he can go see Simon. That's when he calls I keep forgetting minor character names. That's when he calls in the other guy, his new doorman, to drive him someplace to pack a bag, because they're going to see Simon. I think Gregory's smart enough to realize that he can't tell the saviors that he's been keeping Daryl safe and Maggie safe, because they think Maggie's dead and they're looking for Daryl. So that would be bad news for Gregory, period. But at the very end, we get that the little birdie told us that you're planning something for Negan telling Sasha. This could be two things. This could be Eugene, or this could be Gregory. My vote is on Gregory. They want you to think that it's Eugene. That whole scene with Eugene and Sasha at the end, that's why I was half wrong. Eugene is scared. He knows he can't survive out there on his own. He knows that he needs protection, and he feels completely safe in the Savior's compound. So that's one of the reasons he didn't want to leave. Maybe he doesn't have a long game, maybe he still does, but that's why Eugene is there. He is scared. I don't think he would ever rat out his friends. That's why I think Gregory is the one that came and told them that they were planning something. So my prediction for how the Saviors get informed is Gregory, not Eugene. I think Gregory told them, he went and met with Simon, and Simon told Negan that Rick and his group are planning something. Then we have Sasha pleading with Eugene to get her something to kill herself with. She is right, though, that the Saviors are going to use her as bait or against her friends, because she knows that they'll do what they can and have to save her. So she's using this to try to play Eugene, but it's completely true. They will do this, and they're probably going to do this. I believe the character was Holly in the comic books that this happened with, so it's going to happen. They're not going to let Sasha be part of the group. They're just not going to do that. But Sasha's trying to play Eugene to get her some sort of weapon, and then he gives her the pills, and she's immediately heartbroken. We saw that when we cut through the door, and she's smiling, and she's trying to play him. But I think Eugene will come to his senses at some point after he sees like all of the force that Rick has gathered. I hope Eugene will come to his senses after he sees the force that Rick has gathered, because man, Eugene is going to be pivotal in what's to come. So I think with this season's finale, they're at least going to start the war, so you get a little taste. But I don't think we're going to really see the war. I know they did apologize for the way they left last season with that cliffhanger, who's going to die. They build it as they were going to show you who died, and then they just leave it. They gave you the bat swing, and that was it. Probably going to still upset a lot of people because you're not going to get the full war, but I think they're going to give you a taste of what's about to happen instead of just leave you in suspense for 6 months. All right, that's it. We have one episode left. Really, really excited for the extended season finale. I hope some good stuff happens. I hope we get a little more background about what's going on. And I hope some of the Oceanside residents come to help. I hope the junkies come to help. I think that's going to come back around to bite Rick in the ass in the end. But right now, he needs all the help he can get. We have Dwight, which we saw him on Negan's side. So we already know that Dwight is either working with Rick or escaped. So we know he's working with Rick. They have him in that cell. He's not going to escape. Daryl would not let Dwight escape. The one thing I thought was immediately going to happen, though, was Daryl was going to get his vest back. But then we saw Dwight still wearing it, which makes sense because had he not been wearing that vest when he went back to Negan, Negan would have known something was up. Negan's observant, and if he wasn't wearing that vest that he's been wearing for this entire season now, we would have known something was going on. I think he'll get the vest back eventually, though. I think after all this happens, he's going to get his vest back. That concludes this week's episode of Zombies and Coffee. We only have one more of these until Fear the Walking Dead comes back on. If you like this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can like by giving me a big thumbs up. You can subscribe by hitting that big red button down below or clicking on my floating head at the end of this video. Thank you.